Today we're going to be working on adding and subtracting unlike fractions. Okay, here we're going to break down an hour into fractions by minutes. So what I just want to do is I want to figure out if I have 5 minutes, what's that a fraction out of 1 hour? Remember, that would be 5 out of 60, okay? Because there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, what is that simplified? Well, I can divide the top by 5 and the bottom by 5. One, and then what would that be? 4th. Okay. Next, I have 20. So if I had 20 minutes out of 60, I could divide the top and the bottom by 20. And then that would give me 1. And then 20 minutes would be 1/3. Okay, because 6 divided by 2 is 3, so 60 divided by 20 is 3. And then last, I have 30. So I have 30 out of 60, which I would have to divide by 30 on the top and the bottom, and I would get 1/2. Okay, so now that I have my simplified answers, now I can go back and I look. So this is actually kind of doing it in reverse, so you can see. So if I had what is 1/6 of an hour plus 1/3 of an hour. Well, if I have 1/6 plus 1/3, I can't just add them together. They have different denominators. So looking above here, I see 1/6 is the same thing as 10/60ths. Or 1/3 is the same as 20/60ths. So I'm going to just change it back to the 1/6 is 10/60ths. And then the 1/3 is 20/60ths. So how many 60ths do I have when I add? I have 30/60ths, which is 1/2. So this would be 1/2. Okay, or what is 1/6 of an hour plus 1/3 of an hour? That'd be 1/2 of an hour. Okay, now going to this one here, I have what is 1/12 of an hour plus 1/2. Well, I need to get a common denominator, and I can get the common denominator from above. You could also, which I'm going to explain on the next page, is I could just multiply this by 6 here on the bottom and 6 here on the bottom top to get 12ths to make my denominator 12ths. But since we're working with the time right now, I'm going to go ahead and just change it to minutes. So I'm going to look here for 1/12, and that is 5/60ths. So this is 5/60ths, and half would be 30 minutes. So 30 out of 60. Okay, so then I have 30, if I add this, I would have 35/60ths. And I can simplify that by dividing by 5. And I would get 7, and then 60 divided by 5 is 12ths. And I get 7/12ths of an hour. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. So looking at this, I have 2 examples, and I want to show you how to make them look like in the operation. So I have 1/6 plus 2/3. So I need to get the same denominator. The first thing I look at is the denominators, and here I see a 3 here and a 6. I always start with my lower one and see if I can multiply it to get to my higher one. Can I multiply 3 times something to get 6? In this case, I can multiply it by 2. So if I multiply the denominator by 2, I can multiply the top by 2. Now I'm not changing this fraction, I'm just changing what it looks like. So I still have 1/6 plus, now I have 2 times 2, which is 4, and 3 times 2, which is 6. Now we have like terms, so we can now add these. So now 1/4 plus, 1/6 plus 4/6 is 5/6, and that is my final answer. Let's look at this 9/10 and 9/10 plus a -1/2. Okay, so I'm gonna look here at my denominators. I have a 10 and a 2. Which one's lower? The 2. So I'm gonna look at my 2. Can I multiply anything by 2? 2 times what? Can I get to 10? In this case, I can. Not all cases you can, so I am going to multiply 2 times 5. And so that means I multiply by 5 on the top. So my fraction that I get would be -5/10 plus, and then that 9/10 is going to stay the same. So I get 9/10. So now I have 9/10 plus a -5/10. Well, I see a positive and a negative. So I'm going to subtract in my head and keep the larger sign. So 9 minus 5 is 4 and 10. Now, I have +9 and -5. I have more positives than negatives, so my answer is going to be positive. So I don't need to change anything here. Now, can I simplify? So looking at this, I see that to see how to simplify, remember you look at the numbers and see if you can divide anything on the top and bottom. Do they have the same factors? So I'm going to go one step further. You don't have to do this, but if you can see it, awesome. I see this is 2 times 2, and this is 2 times 5. I see the same number, 2 and 2. That means you can divide 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So then I would get 2. What's left over is my squares here. I'm going to square it 2 and then 5ths. And that's my final answer. Let's go on to the next problem. All right, so this is our last 2 problems. I have 5/8 and -1/4. So I'm going to rewrite this as 5/8 minus 1/4. Now the only thing that's different is we are subtracting now. And remember when we subtract, it's better if you change it to adding the opposite. So adding a negative, okay? So this would be it would be 5/8 plus a -1/4. Now, let's look at my denominators. So I have 8 and I have a 4. I'm going to look at the lower denominator. Is there anything I can multiply here to get to 8? Yes, I can. I can multiply by 2. So if I multiply the bottom by 2, I'm going to multiply the top by 2. So I'd get -2/8. And then the rest just stays the same for right now. Now I see that I have positive and a negative. So my signs are different. So we're going to subtract. So 5 minus 2 is 3. And the 8s stay the same because we're dealing with 8s. So now I have, do I have more positives looking at the 5/8 or more negatives? So I have a positive 5/8 and a -2/8. So I have 2 negatives and 5 positives. Which one's more? The positives. So that means my answer is going to be positive, and I am done with that one. Okay, for this next one is 1/2 minus a -2/5. Okay, remember for subtracting, let's change it to adding the opposite. So I'm going to take 1/2 and add, and then the opposite of -2/5 is a +2/5. Well, that makes it a little bit easier when we're just adding. So now we just have to add these. Let's look at my denominator here. I have a 2 and a 5. So I'm going to look at my 2. Is there anything I can multiply this 2 by to get to the 5? Nothing. That's a whole number. So I'm going to have to go and I'm going to actually multiply by the other number. So here I have 2. To get to the denominator, I'm going to multiply this by 5 on this side and 5. And then I'll multiply by 2 and 2. So I'm just taking the other number and multiplying it. So let me show you how to do that. So here I'm going to multiply this one by 5 over 5. So I want a denominator of 10. So I get 10 and then I get 5. So I get 5 tenths plus, and then I'm going to multiply this one by 2 and 2. So I get 10 on the bottom. That's what I want. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now I just have to add. So 5 tenths plus 4 tenths is 9 tenths. And that's the last of that problem because there's no positives or negatives, and it's pretty easy. All right, that is the end of adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators.